5 fifth place showings, 11 sixth place showings, 3 seventh place showings, 2 eighth place showings, and 1 ninth place showing. Saucy Jazz was a big success. They raised they raised $10,000, which I thought I was really cool. Outdoor club, they went on a snowshoeing trip, which I heard from, she said it was really fun. I got to see a lot of pictures of it. We also have a blood drive tomorrow with my host up. And so far, I think between yesterday and today, we've gotten a lot of people signed up, which is really good. Sometimes it takes a while, but yeah, I'm excited. AP Chemistry went to Western Oregon University, and they got to complete a lab and they did like a campus tour, which is pretty cool. We also today had all of the different grades kind of do like a competition, and they all decorated a different kind of thing for their grade to make a bulletin board. So we have like the seniors, they all made hot air balloons and put baby pictures of them in them. And we all have like our own giant billboard that we're decorating. So I think that's really cool. We also have an environmental science class. And last quarter, they supported our school recycling and they planted some flowers on campus and stuff. They did a lot of just greening around there. And then our early childhood education class went on a field trip to LCC, or Lane Community College Preschool. Sometimes it's called the Living Lab classroom. So I think they went there and they kind of just looked at what was going on in how it works and stuff. And then the last thing I have noted is Jordan Risdall won the state essay competition and scholarship for the Daughters of American Revolution. So we've had a lot of success. It's exciting.
That was very full report.
They have a lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that FBLA kids did so well.
Oh, yeah, I was looking at that. That doesn't seem right, but it was a lot. We've done pretty good, and they've been working really hard, so I'm glad that they did that good.
And the top 10 go to state, right? So all those kids that placed 1 through 9 get to go to state. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I'm excited.
All right, and good job on the blood drive, getting kids to let a needle like voluntarily stick in there for a little bit. That's tough.
I've tried 3 times, and they won't let me any times. So I've tried, but yeah, we got a lot more teachers this year too, or this time. Last time, we didn't really think about their schedules or anything, so we went to the teacher first this time, and we signed up with the reps. Good luck.
Hard work happening outside.
Yeah.
Just for a minute.
Never end.
No. Any questions from here?
Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. Hey, things just get busier and busier as the year wraps on. I think I just saw that. Okay, Mike, superintendent report.
Yeah. So I just want to highlight the strategic planning process and give you an update on that where we're at. We have been meeting the administrative team for district leadership team and myself and working on the goals, converting the team's goals, but looking into those goals and strategies that will line up to achieve those goals. So we've been working on that and we'll continue on that. That's going to take us a while. There's a lot there for us to plan. And get in place. So we're moving right along into the strategic plan, into the continuous improvement plan. So we'll have a complete SIP plan, and then we'll lift the priorities out of that for the SIA plan. And in preparation to submit our SIA plan or integrated application in March to get all of our grant, to be able to access our grant funding. So we're right on schedule. Things are moving along. Not as quick as we would want them to, but boy, we're finding some good stuff out there when we are researching best practices to achieve these goals. And then the steering committee, we had a meeting. We have finished our draft of the development of a CSD graduate. And so the draft I provided to the board, and we'll gladly take any feedback back to the steering committee. And the next step is to send this out to the community, get feedback from the community, and then we'll take it all the input into the steering committee and look at this and come up with a final draft, and that will be our vision for that statement. So I did some word crafting of the development of a CSP graduate, and the CSP graduate division provides strategic direction for an expanded definition of student success, one that ensures that students are fully equipped with a set of attributes, skills, and qualities that the Creswell community believes every student should possess when they walk across the stage at graduation to be ready for college, careers, and life. So that's the vision of that piece of our district. And this is the community vision complete. So we'll go out one more time with them and see if they have any more feedback and input for us, and bring it all together and take it home. Any questions on the other activities that I had for the month?
You're a busy man.
Board work session.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that one. It's not on my list. I should put it on my list.
There you go. That's
I
good.
know you talked about that tonight. That only been a month. That's what you're doing.
All right, any questions for Mike on his monthly report? Okay. Next on our agenda is public comment, but we have no one registered for public comment. So then we'll move into unfinished business, which Mike touched a little bit on development of a CST graduate. Did you want to have any other question or any other discussion around this?
I just wanted, if there were any questions from any of the board members, Candace, Ken, and I can answer anything you ask, or.
Oh, you're there for it. So I do think that it looks very nice though.
Yeah.
Like all put together, and Amy did a great job.
And I see, like, desirable employee got updated stuff
Yeah.
tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah, she did an excellent job of all the myriad of things that she was being told, and she came up with what I had pictured. So I think she should be commended for this. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think that's what the committee was talking about.
I think that's really good.
In terms of your outreach back out to community, where do you envision your?
We'll send a survey out.
Okay.
And ask them for their input, just the same thing that we've done with the throughout the strategic planning process. And, yeah.
Did we talk about why we want development of the CSD in this group? I know we've had lots of discussions about it, but.
Just so that it's K all the way through, right? Because I was thinking about that, and when I look at some of these words like adaptable, I can think of the kindergartners that I read with on Friday morning. They're working on being adaptable, right? So some of those words translate really easily into the grades.
And I do see this guiding the work. I've already, Judy Johansson has sent me a program that they're looking at for career pathways, college and career pathways at the middle school. And when I look at the attributes and characteristics of that program, it directly aligns to this vision. Pretty impressive. I was like, wow, you found that great. That's gonna be nice. So, yeah.
I would like to publicly say thank you to the administrators, because they took this on with a lot of spirit. Is that a appropriate? Appropriate word to say? Spirit, they're go-getters, they get stuff done. It was impressive to watch.
They're passionate about it.
Yeah.
You can see it. And it was fun. It was a fun, I agree.
Well, we'll ramp up the fun in the next visioning of the themes, converting these themes into goal statements or a vision similar to this with those themes individual, so.
Sometimes I questioned Principal Collins' exuberant.
Love it. You should never question someone.
Now,
Yeah.
using them too often, then I thought we were fine. Anyway, she can't say that. And I'm sure that served her well, but there were some times where I had to just sit back and wait.
It all comes out in the end.
It's great. I'm glad we got employee on there. I think that's important. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things about it.
Mike, did you have anything? I just want to make sure I'm not stepping over you, because sometimes virtual to real time, there's a little bit of a delay.
No, I don't have anything. I thought it was very well done, and I can just barely hear you guys.
Okay. All right, thanks for letting us know that. We'll speak up just a little bit to see if that helps you. Okay. Next, after the development of garage is. Joel will take care of us.
Where is the microphone that he's listening? Right there?
Yes.
Okay.
Next we have the continued discussion on the bond proposal. And we had a work session on January 25th, I believe, where we saw more details about that. We saw a project list, we saw different tax rates, and some polling information. So, and I believe I missed that session, so you guys that were here, please fill in. I believe the board asked Mike to run another Google survey of our parents. And we got that information emailed out today. I think if you guys had a chance to see that. And I think that, yeah, when I was looking at the numbers, we got an almost equal number, like 392. Is that the total number? Did I
I
remember
think
that
the
right?
final number was 367.
367, so that's almost the sample size of the other polling that we had back in January where they did a sample size of 400.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
so,
for them, this wasn't just parents, right? Like the goal of this is to be more broad to the community.
Well, it was all inclusive of staff, community, and parents.
Okay.
it was sent out initially using our distribution, like the school's distribution lists though, so the polling that we would have done in January, they were charged with getting
Right,
people demographics.
right.
Right.
The one we asked for last time, we wanted to focus on the community, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but there isn't there a graph that shows people that are not, that don't. Okay, in the
Do you
information.
guys, anybody need our?
I do, actually.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I looked at it online, but it's trickier. Unless you're candidate, you can look at one.
You want to go?
If I could share that, it just so.
I printed out a couple pages. I would like that, please.
It was shared initially via Parents Club, but also shared it with the city of Creswell. They had it on their website. We had it on Facebook. It was also shared with the Chamber of Commerce and a couple other entities around the community. So we really got a really good sampling of our community.
Okay.
which
Thank
is-
you, yeah, trying to, and then some of us were emailing them out to our groups, I think we were trying to get boosters in there.
I even got it in Juana's memory, so.
Yes,
Okay.
we made contact with all the organizations throughout the community.
Yeah, so I got it a couple different ways, which is good.
Yeah, so it looks, shoot, where did it go?
So according to our consultant, this surveys are not, people aren't so fond of participating in surveys, so first look at a survey, they probably discard them. They don't really get into them. And then when the language is, or the subject of the survey is bond, it's like the survey, there's not very much attention to it. And then considering that they had to volunteer to participate in it, was more impressive to our consultant, because volunteering to take a survey and with this subject matter, when you're hitting 150 volunteers to participate, these are not cold calls going out from a pollster. This is just willingness to participate. If you're hitting 150, you're starting to hit a high number. And going up and getting into over 300 and getting to close to 400 is a pretty impressive turnout for participation on this survey. So, but the numbers speak pretty clear with this sample. When we're looking at 80% above in some of these categories, close to 90%. And the not sure category, and there the data in there is about 6%. So when you look at the 6% of the not sure, and you think, okay, half of those folks, when they see more information, they're going to come in, the other half maybe not. So another 3% to look at on that, give or take a percent on that. And you see that we're really out there, we're close. Especially when you think about nearly 40% of the participants are not parents in our schools on this survey. And then the comments just show
They did appreciate that.
how much they agree
Yeah.
with the purpose, the why behind the ask.
And a lot of them agreed with the specific items in the total bond, right? Facility upgrades, safety issues, athletic facilities. So you put together a good package for the bond.
Yeah, is Connie on?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I gotta thank Connie for assistance with this survey. This is a really good presentation of the survey of what we're looking at and why we're looking at it, what we're asking. And just so that it's clear, we're not asking for funding that will increase property taxes. We're just continuing a bond that exists now at the same level,
Same tax rate.
same tax rate. And we have been approved for $4 million from the state in a grant for matching bond dollars. So if we don't go or don't get the bond, we don't get the $4 million from the state. And that $4 million means a lot for us. It doesn't maybe mean a lot to most of the bigger districts around, but to us, $4 million is really a lot of money that takes care of a lot of business for these schools. So we need that. And there's no guarantee that that's going to be there in the next year. We talked about that in the last, in the work session. Their ODE doesn't say that, and in fact, they don't guarantee that even if the money's there, will be approved for it. And you'll see that in the letter that I present later on in this, on the agenda. Any questions about the survey or thoughts?
I appreciate the survey, because there's a piece of the puzzle that we needed to see, what is what's the consensus of the community. It's a hard decision regardless to put this out there, so I appreciate you following up and doing that.
I find it interesting that the polling that was done by the pollster back in January, it was for a kind of a continuation bond, so the tax rate stays the same, it was 50-50. You know, there's very small differences between those opposed and those in favor. And then through this survey, it jumps up to 80% and above. Because we're getting more demographics of the parents that are in the schools. So if this moves forward, we as board members that get to have an ability to try to sway the community, we need to rely on our parents to talk about the need for those that may not be in the schools. To see it.
I think that's the difference between the two surveys. The first survey is a phone call survey with no information, no background information, so people are saying, hearing bond for schools, but no rationale, no why behind it. And in this survey, the questions themselves explain why we're looking at this. And having more information to make a decision, I think, is what helped these folks understand the need.
Plus, the second survey started at not increasing the tax rate.
Correct.
Whereas the other one started a little higher and then came down.
Tested for.
So the starting point for this one is we're not increasing the tax rate. And that could explain why it's more agreeable. But it was good to see.
Mike, do you have any questions or thoughts?
No, not at this time, I don't.
Okay. Okay, so where we are, we have a drafted resolution that would refer a 18, hold on, I'm gonna have to pull this up because now I forgot the number. It's an 18.
18 or 16.
18,210,000 general obligation bond to the voters in May. So the resolution would refer that to the voters. We as a board, if we want to be able to do that, we would need to pass this either tonight, or if you need more time to think, we would need to hold another session next week. We have to have it to the Lane County Elections Office by February 24. Ideally, a few days before that, so the staff can actually process stuff. But that's the deadline for any ballot measure for May. So I would recommend tonight, if you're ready to say, yes, you're willing to support, or no, to voice that, so we know what we have as a board.
I'm ready to make a motion, build whatever,
Okay.
but I also want to respect those who are not.
I'm done. Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, why don't you make a motion? I'll take it.
I don't have the resolution in front of me, but
Just make your motion with the resolution number in it, that would suffice.
I move to
Adopt.
move election resolution 2223-02 to pass it and move it to the voters.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Awesome. Any discussion on this resolution? And you'll notice that the fourth page of the resolution was the ballot title. The ballot title is what gets filed with the elections office. And that is what is in the, on the ballot. Yes. I'm like, why did I not blank on that? On the ballot. And I think it's well written because I like how it specifically describes what we're gonna be putting this on. I like information that's more specific so that voters understand we're restricting it to these things. And if Connie's on and I've misstated any of that, please correct me. Yeah, I do not want to misstate anything, but that's my understanding that this ballot title goes on the ballot.
Yes, I'm here and that is correct.
Thank you.
You did.
I don't know if it's appropriate discussion to talk about what the grant is to be used for, but there are things that were listed on the list that we discussed that aren't here that I have people inquire about. So I'm just curious, is that not something that's gonna be put out? Because it says like repair to update schools, kitchens, flooring. Oh, okay, wait, no, it doesn't. Improvements to, I know, to disregard. Yeah. It's very small in the first line. My book. Yeah, I had a lot of people inquiring because it wasn't part of the survey.
Oh,
And so I had people inquiring about whether or not we were gonna do anything outside of the buildings as well, and I was just here with
The ballot title becomes our contract with the community. And so if there's something missing on here that we feel like we want to make sure we're, you know, we're very clear with the community, the money will be used for.
Yeah, I think that's right. I was just more looking at the.
Good point. First. So, well taken, do we need to put, and I'm not suggesting change it, this isn't my area of expertise. Where it says update schools, is that meant to mean like schools as a whole, of like our school grounds, not just physical buildings? Right?
Repair and update our schools, including, so it's talking about the physical to the school. And then upgrade or repairs to the school's facilities. So it's all there, that goes beyond the building.
Okay, so this all goes on the voter, so they see this whole, okay.
Yeah, so
That's what I need to.
Yeah, yeah, there's different word limits, right? So you're bound by word limits, but then in the summary, this is also part of the contract that we have and that Mike has to ensure that that 18 million covers this.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And so if you get too specific, then it's really tough, because if you run out of money, you can't do the green paint, you have to leave it unpainted,
Right.
right? In an
Yeah.
absurd example,
Yeah,
but we also want to be specific enough that there's accountability.
no, 100%. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that we can't put every single line item on that, because that would be. You know.
Yeah, and we also have 175 words.
Yeah. There.
And we
And all I didn't have that one, Connie has masterfully outlined a great amount of accountability and clarity for us within 175 words.
Talking about 4 other
Oh,
consultants.
okay, I don't-
We did
I
one.
don't minimize other people's contributions. I appreciate that.
There was a lot of input to go into this over the weekend. Right, Connie?
That's correct.
And I probably already asked this, but this is a big deal, and it's probably one of the biggest things we'll do as board, as we're on board. So the ballot title, the question, and the summary are all available to voters when they go to vote.
On that.
Okay. Thank you.
That's correct, right, Connie?
Yes, it'll be published in the voters pamphlet.
Okay. Okay. All right. Did you have this page?
Oh, yeah.
I was just curious why there's a question mark after it says estimated maintain current levy rate. Question.
Where are you looking?
It's page 4. I'm just wondering, I mean,
On the ballot title, under question.
yeah, maybe that's why the question.
Oh,
That's like a very.
so Connie, hopefully you can hear us. On the ballot title, under the question part, the second line says estimated to maintain current bond levy, and then has a question mark.
Because it's part of that, the whole thing is a question.
Oh,
So,
shall.
Yeah, shall district update schools as part of that question.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
And that it legally has to be stated that way.
And a question. I just feel like ready.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all my questions are answered.
Okay, Mike, do you have, that's okay, those are all really good questions. Mike, do you have any questions on the resolution or the ballot title?
No,
Okay. Okay. So we currently have a motion on the table to adopt this resolution and refer a measure to the voters. Are we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous from those who are present. That's fantastic.
That's a yes for me.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. This is really huge.
Mike is happy. People have. Do you have kids in your still?
Yeah.
I'm
gonna wait. I get that. I mean, this is a really good step though, for our district and for our community.
Well, and we talked about it in the work session, but when we apply to the state, when they look at the condition of our facilities assessment, they look at the property, they look at how old our schools are. And they award us the maximum amount to contribute to that of $4 million. How do you explain to your voters, we know our schools are in bad shape, they're not conducive for education yet. We're not going to try. We only have $4 million in front of us to say the state is with us and understands the need for that.
I'll be honest, I'm struggling with this probably more than anyone. I want our kids to have everything. I want our kids to have the best thing, so that's of course why I'm there. It's hard to ask people for something, that they also work hard for, but I want our kids to have it. But I think that other thing that's important for people to know is we also have the ability to apply for more grants for seismic funding that we can put on top of these things to make our high school a safe place for our community to be able to come in case of emergency. And it's hard, it's very hard, but there's a lot of things that can really support our community as a whole if we do this with some of the other opportunities we have to upgrade our building and give our kids what they deserve.
So in talking with the mayor and the city manager, both Dave and Michelle, they're, when we talk about the high school being a reunification site, a space where we have medical service and all of the emergency services available in one building. We have shelter in another building. We can provide food, water, and showers in another building because we have developed this stable structure of a campus, not just one building, but a campus that could house or support the community to the best of our ability. They're partnering with us if this comes to fruition. They are going to support and assist us with grants for the reunification plan.
So as we go through this journey,
It's a journey.
it's a journey. I think for me, and I can only speak for myself, it's important that we stay up to date on progress of any of those other grants that are coming. So we know how all of these things can come together, because we have a lot of work to do at all the schools, especially in high school, and we're gonna need. This is a lot of money, but we're also gonna need that other money to do those things to the high school buildings that need to be done. And we have 3 more buildings we can apply for, right?
We've applied for one, so the next up after we're approved for that one will be the other 2. We'll just take one at a time.
So we have 3 total buildings, and we have 4, and we already have one. Okay. thank
We
you.
have one, we applied for one, and we'll, as soon as that's approved, we'll go for the next one.
Thank you.
Can you explain to me, I know you'll probably ask before, the building that we're approved for currently is the larger building, the gym?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and so I don't know what the other structures are, 2, 3, and 4. 2, is it like one of the?
So, yeah, building 2, I'm not actually sure they might actually be A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
but basically you have the gym is one building.
Okay,
And the gym would be also the locker rooms, the second gym, and the commons.
Okay.
And the kitchen, so that's a
that's the
building,
first one to be better approved.
right.
Okay,
Then you have the academic building, which some folks call it the H hall, because it literally is like an H hall. That's the academic building. Adjacent to that is also the newest section of our building,
Mhm.
which was built in 2004. That's the senior hall.
Mhm.
And then you have that's all part of one building right there. Actually, take that back. The senior hall is a separate building.
Okay,
And a section of the administrative offices is also part of that next building. If you, and I'd be happy to show this to you, it's kind of interesting, if you're over there, there's a section where you can literally see where the separation is.
Yeah.
Because it's a really wide wall, because architecturally, two buildings will touch. They look like they do, but they don't. There's a sleeve, because it's two separate buildings. And then you have the vocational building, which also happens to be music and shop, metal shop, above the second story, which is not ADA accessible, so that's something we want to try to address, of course, is where you have your art room and the old vocational classroom, which is now a Apple Mac lab that's used for AutoCAD and things like that. And then you actually have the greenhouse too, which is also considered, the greenhouse.
Free.
Yes, so the greenhouse is your fourth building, so it's a standalone building, so it's its own structure.
That's probably lower on the likelihood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, definitely, the senior hall.
I charge it up.
What's the senior hall? Where's that?
That would
I
be,
can't, this is weird. I can't believe their place to charge.
you're headed towards the academic building and you
You have
you're
anything else?
directly to the right, and you know where Mr. Martin's classroom is,
Yeah.
that's the senior hall.
Okay, thank you.
Huh?
All right.
Right.
That was a
You're
really,
welcome.
really good discussion. And vote. Okay,
Like that,
all right,
I'm down with some pen.
all right. Michael will rejoin us here in a minute. Okay, all right, that concludes our unfinished business. Huge big vote. Thank you for everyone's attention and discussion there. New business, we have a school counselors appreciation week recognition. That's actually this current week. that we would like to-
I can't tell. It didn't ding.
You're here. You can hear you, Mike.
Okay. Can we get someone to make a motion to adopt the school counselor appreciation week?
I move to adopt,
Yeah, I'll second. Thank you. This resolution just acknowledges the importance of the school counselors that we have and the hard work that they do in helping our kids feel like they belong and navigate the school system. So I feel like that's pretty cool. I don't think we've had a school counselors resolution before.
I don't remember, I remember the planning, so that, I was reading it, I was like, oh, I was reading it. They do a lot, they really have a lot.
They do a lot. They've got big jobs.
There was nice acknowledgement on the Facebook pages for them.
Yeah, I did see that from this, from.
I might have missed the elementary school, but I saw them.
I saw them all.
All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Voting on the school counselor appreciation. Great, making sure you're with us. Thank you, Mike. All right, that was unanimously approved. And then the second resolution, we usually try to adopt these a month in advance. So we're in February, but in March, there is a week recognizing the important work that our classifieds do. And so this is another resolution. If anyone would like to make that motion.
I'll move to adopt the classified employee appreciation resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Yeah, we have some hardworking.
As a former classified employee of the Creswell School District, I would just able to say very worthy of the praise that they received.
Yeah, from our bus drivers to our cooks, to our aides, to our secretaries. My mom has been a school bus driver since I was in second grade. I know what stuff she puts under.
Yeah.
I still hear that.
I think the sentence in here that says, whereas classified employees are the backbone of the public education system, very true.
I thought that was very bad, there's a part of our, yeah.
Thank you for reading. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next set of items for us to discuss kind of all go together, but we've outlined the two actions that we need to take in the discussion. But as of yesterday, Mark Parker unfortunately resigned from the board. I hate to see him go because I loved his insight. So we need to go through those first two steps. One accepts the resignation, and then the second action declares the vacancy. So we will take the first one. Yeah, I do need a motion for that.
I know to have Director Parker's resignation.
Thank you. He let me know yesterday, and then he sent me the letter today, so I'll ask Marilyn if she can update board book even after the fact, so that you all can read the letter. That was his intent. And I just apologize, I was at work so long today, I didn't come home and then check this email, and so I didn't get it to Marilyn in time. But I'll have her update it afterwards, so that you have it, and ultimately, his decision was based upon the new law that comes down where we have to file an economic impact statement. He was reluctant, and unfortunately that brought him, so he wanted to resign before that was due. Very fair. Yeah, that's been a tough law for some folks. Okay, all right, all in favor of accepting that resignation, raise your hands. Okay, can you give us a verbal yes or no? Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I just don't want to forget you. All right, and then the second action is we need to declare a vacancy. So I need a motion for that.
There's anything, tell her I'm trying to find the charger.
So I move to declare board vacancy in position of.
Thank you. All right, any discussion on that piece? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Mike? Yea or nay? Yay.
Lacey?
Got it. Yes.
He's trying to charge his phone.
Oh, got it. Thank you, Penny. All right, we'll take that as a yay. All right. And then discussion, now that we have a vacancy on the board, and so we're sitting here in February, the two options that we have would be to post the vacancy, ask for applications. Then we would appoint from those applications to fill out the rest of the term. And since this position is actually up for election, they would only be filling it through June. And then the election would fulfill it. So in the past, when it's been this close, OSBA has recommended to have the board to the position where it doesn't look like they're swaying the election, right? Or putting their thumb on the scales in some way. We're relatively close, so we can write out the rest of this term and wait for anyone who wants to put it. They would have to put on, they would have to file by March, I believe. So we would be appointing someone about the time someone would be trying to get on the ballot. We should, but
People were interested, run and let the voters choose.
I think it took us a while to get married, so, I mean, by the time we get the applications, we review them through the whole. We'll be right up against when the election is. And we don't meet each other.
we typically don't need to.
So, yeah, I think that's what I would suggest, but.
Yeah, let the voters do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mike, any thoughts on whether you would like to post it and try to appoint someone or let the election run?
I think we ought to let the elections run it. It's a lot, by the time we get the, everything posted, it's gonna be too late. I just say wait and let the elections tell us who gets it.
Okay, great, thank you. I agree as well. So our consensus is, we don't need a motion. I just wanted to make sure we had consensus on what we were doing. So we'll just wait, and then we hopefully will find someone that will run for the position, and we'll have a full board again in July. All right.
Is there a plug-in in that?
All right, so we have a 2022 audit report that we need to accept. It's not attached, though. Did we actually do that last month?
Yeah.
All of the information.
Okay, okay, that's what I'm recalling. All right, so if you need to reference it, you have to go to last month's meeting and board book and find it, but otherwise we need to accept that report.
I move to accept the 2022 audit report.
I second.
Thank you. Any questions about that audit report? Chanel, thank you for all the work you did with the auditors to get a stellar report.
You're welcome. To make it so we don't have that question.
That's what we like. All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Mike, yay or nay? Awesome, great,
Yep,
thank you. That's-
yay.
Yay, thank you, okay. All right, so we have a policy from the state. Most of the time when we get policy from the state, we have options that we can choose, and then the policy committee would look at those, make recommendations, we would post it for public comment from the community. So we would post it 1 month, and then the second month, hear any of that public comment that came in, and then adopt policy. This is coming in a little bit differently. There are no options for us. This is a required policy to stay in compliance with the state. And so it's moving straight to adoption unless we have concerns. So we're the first line of questioning and changing. Did I get that right, Mike?
Yeah, it actually comes from the federal to the state, because this is all around our title funds. And for us to be able to be eligible to receive title, we have to have this policy in place.
Okay. And so the markup that you're seeing is the markup that we have to do to our current policy in order to stay compliant with the state. Any questions or concerns with this policy?
No.
So you can see the essence of it, and they're saying that you cannot exclude foster children if they are coming into your district. If they're in your district, they're your kids, you take them, there's no barriers,
This is only applicable to foster children.
all students.
Okay.
But they wanted to specifically change some of the wording because there were some barriers for people to be able to enroll. For example, if they were homeless, but not maybe in McKinney-Vento, and they landed in your district somewhere, and they didn't have a home and address, and, they had to go through all this stuff to be able to get into school. This said, no, they're coming in your doors, and they just don't happen to have a home address. But they're in your district, and they're your student. They have a right to move on. Is there anything you want to add to that, Amy?
Well, I think the big difference is we didn't have that access that Mike had touched on in regards to the transportation, the free meals, and then just enrollment policy. So it's just cleaning the language up.
Any questions on this? Or concerns? Okay, I need a motion to adopt this policy.
Move to adopt the policy changes outlined for J.
I second.
Okay. Any other conversation around that? Okay, all in favor, raise your hands. Got it, thank you.
Yay, yay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. All right. Okay, another great opportunity for us to partner with a neighboring school district. So we have a couple kids from Pleasant Hill that want to be able to practice with our tennis team. They don't have a tennis team in Pleasant Hill, so they come over, join us, they use our transportation, and this collective sponsorship lets them have access to our resources, which is great. If those kids want to play, they can play. I think we did this last year with tennis, right?
We've done it a number of years.
We did last month, golf, right? For golf.
Well, Pete Hill was done for a number of years consecutively.
How many students do they have generally?
One year in 2019-20, they had one or two, but not many.
Yeah.
And then this one, maybe two or three, a handful, not too many. But they do pay fees, so it assists us with our.
There is a line. They're ours, they're on our bus, there's an agreement between the districts, so they kind of travel like they're our kid, we assume that. When they practice though, when they play, it's for Pleasant Hill.
Okay.
I don't think we care about that, we've got them covered for liability, and then they would have access to being able to practice and our coaches here.
But P Hill provides transportation for practices.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And they still have to be all the family and the friends.
Okay. Absolutely. Get more kids involved.
I know.
Give them the opportunity.
I know, awesome, very good. All right, I need a motion to approve that collective sponsorship.
I moved to approve the collective sponsorship of the Pleasant Hill High School boys and girls.
Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand.
A,
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. All right, okay, we are cruising right along through our agenda, so this is great. We have a grant letter that we don't need any motion on this. This is just an update on what it's reading.
Yeah, I just wanted you to be to have all the information about the awesome grant and the $4 million and where the risks are of not moving forward and taking advantage of the state is giving us at this point. Yeah.
We're about having a discussion.
So yeah, tomorrow I'll be right back at it.
Good. Okay. All right, hold on, getting back to my agenda.
And as you can see on the back page, there are 13 districts that applied for these. That are going to go out for funds. On the back page, I just kind of included that just for your information. I mean, we're not alone out there in the hardship on capital improvements, that's for sure. You know what, Wasco? Yeah, that's new high school.
Oh.
New high school, the price tag of the new high school is 140 to 170 million.
We're getting a smoking deal by updating ours for 15.
Yeah. I'm stressed out over it. We're doing
Big renovation, on a building, you know, from the entrance to the entire perimeter of the building is 80 to 90 million. And we've looked at schools, or research schools that Unitil is one, they remodeled their high school up there, you know, 70 million. That was 5 years ago when I came on this board.
That really looks like more than change there. Aren't they about to finish?
Big, that thing is, I'll bet you, well, I won't bet you, but
Yeah.
that thing, that's about 20, 30 million over the price tag that they got when they first got in. I mean, things have just gone that direction with materials and labor. And it continues to go up for him. That's what's been holding a lot of that up is, you know. But anyway, yeah, so our approach, I think, for our community, bringing in some bond money and working with the seismic grants on each of the buildings and then refurbishing and reconditioning or repairing it, all the each of those buildings as we go. It's going to give us a really nice high school. It's not going to be a $90 million high school, but it will cost 90 million to 130 million to build that high school. So it's going to look, kids are going to know they're being cared for. And that's the question they put to me. We love our school, but it sure doesn't look like it. What can you do about this?
Okay. All right, any other questions you guys have about that awesome grant? That's literally awesome. Absolutely. All right, next is another information item about the closeout letter about the seismic grant that we just completed all this work here at the elementary school.
Wanted you to see that those are closed. The reimbursements have come through. We closed out with the general contractor, so we're good. For that project,
Okay, good.
2.8 million is the final on it. To get where we saved, $250,000 in cost in setting up labor contracts and such by making repairs when they were here to do the seismic repair. So that's the way to go.
Okay, thank you for updating us on that. All right, graduation rate. I know you're excited about this. Do you want to talk about this?
What it's all about, right? The development of our kids and getting them out of here in good shape and just, when we're looking at what's happening across the state and the state's second highest graduation rate in history being 80%. And we're up above at 89%, and we'll be going higher than 89% with graduation class, but at 89%, that puts us at the top 30% of the state. Number 106 out of 305 high schools across the state. That's, that leaves a lot of room, but well, it's not to be critical of anyone, but we want to keep climbing. And the status quo is not satisfactory. We want to be better. We want to be up at the top of the state. And we have been moving in that direction. Of all the high schools in Lane County, 21 high schools, we're number 3 right now with our graduation rate. And that's a trend where we want to lead the county. We don't have any hesitation about that. That's our goal. Lead the county, lead the state. We want the best in the country. But it's a team effort that makes it that way. And it's all the staff, it's the parents, it's our community, and it's our volunteers. And our volunteers, our IRC program and the work that they're doing with our early learners, our youngsters, and K3 is phenomenal. I mean, they just are. That program makes a difference. And it carries them from 3rd grade to graduation. It's amazing. We have other volunteers too. That's a program of volunteers, a significant program. And want to just give a little shout out to them there.
Right. Yeah, I love that graduation rate. Okay,
We're gonna crack the top 100 this year.
Yeah.
yeah, goals.
I'll put my contract on it. I'm not sure, I'm not confident in that team at the high school and the leadership that's going on there. And the district leadership that's contributing to that. I mean, that's a lot of force to reckon with, and I'll tell you, the kids they're feeling it.
Yeah, I agree.
They're moving up there. They know that there's a lot of care around it.
All right, we'll move to the trustee reports. If anybody has information they'd like to share, Tim, you want to start? Any updates?
Sure. Try not to take too long, but I've got
You're fine.
January 17th was a Creswell High School tour with Mike Anderson and Principal Collins. January 24th was a middle school tour again with Julie, but Mike was following me around. And January 25th was the board work session. February 1st was steering committee meeting, and then yesterday, the 7th was the Lane ESD meeting where I attended. Mike, they wasn't anticipating you not being here, but they sent you a thank you note that I'll give to Marilyn, and you can pick it up whenever you want.
Oh, super. Thank you.
They had a presentation on CTE, and one tidbit that caught my ear was that students who are in CTE have a 93% graduation rate in Lane County. And with what we're planning to do, I think we're on the right track there. They also gave me a list of proposed key bills and whether they're supporting no position or oppose. And there are some very interesting ones, especially one that provides that rules adopted by State Board of Education in relation to school district boards and school districts are advisory only. Anyway, there's some interesting ones out there.
Would you send that to Marilyn, or she can send it out to us?
Be good, send it across the page to her.
So efficient.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you.
Have done. I did share that our graduation rate was 89%. They were happy about that. I don't know if there's anything else that you want that I brought back, but they were also talking about motions for school boards. Apparently, they've had some disruptions during their board meetings, and they talked about how to handle that. No, it was a very interesting meeting last night, and they were intrigued to hear about us.
Thank you for covering that meeting.
It's my perception that
You're in.
until I'm in until further notice.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Yes, okay, you know I don't have dates, I'm not as prepared in 10 minutes, but so I also went to the board work session, thank you for putting that on. We had the steering committee last week, which is always very eventful. I joined the booster club meeting the other day, I'm now a voting member of Boosters, where I voted for softball to get into the games yesterday. Thank you, Boosters. Yeah, I mean, after we made the presentation, it's like, you know, you're a voting member, I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Did 2 basketball concessions this month, and I've been very lucky because, we have a very good group of girls and parents, and so I only had to mostly watch instead of actually help, so I've been thankful for that. I participated in approximately 10 open gyms for softball in the last month. If we get out of here on time, one tonight, hopefully. And then Scott and I actually went to the Sassy Jazz fundraiser this weekend, and Mandy got us front row seat, and it was delightful. What a wonderful event that Mandy puts on. Kudos to her. The kids were phenomenal. The high school band is always excellent, but that middle school band was, I was so impressed with how good they are. And would love to talk more about how many days a week electives are there. So, but it was excellent. They do such a great job, and I got to sit next to the music teacher before Sandy, the one that had been here for 20-some years. Yes,
They're all great.
yes, it was why
Even my music teacher,
Yep, they sat, and it was they had a great time,
and
and
she was a school secretary.
oh, yeah, interesting. So, well done event. Kudos to Mandy and Sandy for putting that on.
Going last, I feel very redundant. I took a board work session. I just got the steering committee. I did go do leadership meeting. I did go down to Cottage Grove last weekend and watch our girls wrestle for state. It was really good. We ended up with third place finisher. She's not gonna go to state, and Jenna and 4th place, and she'll go to state next weekend. So they both did good. All our girls did great, but they were district placers, so they get to wrestle. I also went to the booster meeting. And we are getting ready for our auction, our sport auction, which is gonna be May 6th at Emerald Valley this year. We're moving it. Wrapped up our little kids wrestling, our K-4. We finished out that season and we've got it all wrapped up and it's all done. I'm pretty excited about it. But that was all I have.
I also don't know just to say this, but I want to publicly thank Nathan Markle because he has done so much work on our fields in the last couple of weeks. He got out there and rolled them, and he came and gave me a whole little rundown of some things. So
I did
excellent
excellent.
community member, and I appreciate
And to second her acknowledgement of Mandy, she was in there, I was delivering concession stuff the other day, and she was in there with her 2 boys and 2 students that I think have already graduated.
Yeah.
And they were setting up that entire cafeteria, and it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
She had screens up, I mean, it was amazing, and then one of the a former parent was putting all the flower arrangements together, so it's a lot of work, and she did a great job, I'm sure. I've said a number of times, I did this year, but the amount of work she was doing was a lot, so. Yeah. Mike, okay, sorry.
I just have one question. Do you know yet what time the construction is?
Doors open at 5:30. Oh, I just made it fun. Mike, do you have anything to share for trustee reports?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. you're
We've
good.
got not too good a reception. I think it's because the weather down here is 75 degrees and clear and sunny. Maybe that has something to do with it. In the last few weeks, I went through the 3 schools. I went through their principal tours, and those ladies are excellent. They understand the kids. They understand where they want to go and how they're going to get there. And I was really impressed with them. Thanks, Tim, for subbing for going at the Lane ESD. You'll like those guys. It's a really great organization. And then I went to the board work session, and that's about all. And I'm going to be down in the sun for 3 more weeks. I just can't stand it.
Thank you.
That's
Mike.
all I have.
Okay, thank you. I do my IRC reading with kindergarten every Friday, and I did it in the marketing jam, that Mandy had taken the business again for you. Yes, the all freshman team was their first grade, when they didn't even have a marketing class. It was pretty awesome to see. All of our kids did a really good job public speaking. On Friday, they got their assignment on what nonprofit, because they were working with real nonprofits in the community that had reached out to, I want to say Connected Lane County. So they had reached out to Connected Lane County, and then different schools that wanted to be able to like connect both. Here's kids that want to learn, here's nonprofits that need a little bit of help. So on Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock, they all got the nonprofits that they were working with and what the nonprofit was hoping to achieve. And then they spent all day Saturday and Sunday morning with a marketing mentor. So that's part of where Connected Lane County brought in. We have the marketing manager from the Holt Center. We have the marketing manager from LTD. We had a marketing manager from a bank, and forgive me, she was wonderful. I just cannot picture the name of the bank right now. But we had real marketing professionals from our community work with each team on how to put together a plan and what to think about. And then the kids all had to walk through a 10-minute presentation on what they would do for their nonprofit. So very cool, very cool. And they all did an outstanding job. We don't have a marketing class at the high school. It's a segment of one of Mandy's business classes. And so these kids got some really good, like, intensive. Yeah, great opportunity.
Yeah, that was very cool.
And a great nonprofit. What's that?
The great nonprofit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the kids I think got to choose. Bags of Love was the one most of them chose, but there was an equestrian center. Something Strides was that one, and then there was a third. Darn it, I can't, like, I'm on the spot, so I can't remember.
But there were 3 nonprofits that had reached out. Yeah, so they got some good, well-rounded advice. And it's amazing, you'd think that everybody would come up with kind of the same recommendation, but they didn't. All the teams had different thoughts on what to do. Yeah, so that was really cool. I just want to provide a little bit of a legislative update. So I attended an OSBA session today where they walked through some of the bills that are happening. And I know just cursory, but if you have questions, I'll write them down and take them to the next OSBA conversation that we have. So one bill is focused on prohibiting districts from charging fees for what they call interscholastic activities, which I think would be all of our extracurriculars. The bill does indicate the fees would be covered by the statewide education initiatives account. I don't know where that is funded from, so I don't know if that's really just moving money out of our state school fund, right? That handles our general education and funds extracurriculars or not. If it's an additional funding source, then that would be great. Of course, it's an equity issue. Some kids have a hard time paying sports fees. So that's a bill to track. And I believe all of these are going through the education committee this week and next week. So I think they all have hearings within the next week to determine if they're moving forward or if they're adjusting. Another one is focusing on school start times. It would establish a task force to look at whether we need to standardize or dictate start times for schools.
Interesting.
Another bill, which this is a little bit discouraging to me, but it would establish a stipend for school boards. So hopefully if that passes, then we can, as a board, choose whether that makes sense for our district. We've always been volunteer and I actually really appreciate that. So I'll just leave that at that. The next one, I don't know if you have an update on, this one seems kind of confusing to me because when I read this, it is called, the title of it is Reorganizing Education, which sounds really scary, but it's really talking about reorganizing the State Board of Education and ODE and placing powers a little bit differently, which just sounds like a lot more reports and work for you. And so that's the part that worries me is I don't know if this is actually going to make any kind of an impact as opposed to just bombard our administration with more work.
More accountability, that's what they're set out to do. Less accountability at the state level. More accountability at the district level for the state level decisions. That's what happened. But that it just rolls down.
Yeah, because the 400 reports that you file a year is not accountability enough.
No, that one's pretty loaded.
Yeah.
I don't really know the full impact that that's gonna have, but it really is going to be, and not just superintendents for school districts, but laying these for your service district as well. It's just everything that's in the trenches is gonna, that's below the state level that will be impacted by that. Don't know how.
So I'll keep watching this, specifically this one on reorganizing education. I don't think the other ones, at least I just don't feel like it has a lot of impact. Maybe the fees one. I mean, I certainly would love for sports fees to be free, but I really want to pay attention as to where they're drawing the money from. So that one, but the reorganizing education, because if there's an opportunity for us to be able to pinpoint communication with our legislatures, I'll send an email out so that you can craft emails and we can just individually ping our folks on this does not actually help us at the local level.
If they were really wanting to help us out, we wouldn't have a governor be the superintendent of education. And let the Department of Education be the State Department of Education.
There's a lot of things I could think that would really help us out. That they can stop doing and let us do.
Right. So,
Yeah.
it starts there.
Okay. All right. So I'll try if if there's things happening in between meetings, I'll keep you updated via email on those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let me get back to our agenda. Okay, our professional development, I forgot my book again.
I forgot.
Okay. Oh, board goals. That's on there for information. I have it put on our agenda so that we can, if we need to refer to this to
Oh, okay.
any conversation that we keep our board
Oh,
mission
they're
and
just
goals and stuff. Yep, they're just there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Board and goals, right? We're working on aligning the mission with our development of graduate. Right.
Yes.
Well, lots of
All
dollars.
come together.
Yeah.
Not, and I don't, we can't take any credit.
No,
for it,
we
you
don't.
know, The principles are the driving force.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of perspectives going in there. and-
Okay, fair. Everyone except for us are not.
No, that's, we're being awful humble. I think the three of you have contributed your perspective, which keeps us on our toes.
Fair enough, okay. Probably worth it.
And yeah, so for our professional development, we were into the next chapter of the book, which was really talking about literacy and writing. I know, it's on my bedside table as opposed to next to my computer, so I forgot it today. The next chapter really got into the details around the literacy and he walked through different specific schools and examples of where all the way K through 12, right? Different examples of where they really drilled down on literally just everyday reading and writing. And it's interesting in terms of like, everybody still has room for improvement. I have queried my kids because there's a statement in there that says every day students should read a minimum of just 60 minutes. Cumulative throughout the school day, 60 minutes of reading, 40 minutes of writing every single day in order to just drill the specifics. And my kids are not doing that in their high school days. Some days they will get up to the reading, they typically don't with writing. So I find that interesting.
So what the principal has done, because there is not a 90-minute writing course, literacy is divided between reading and writing, presenting, all the standards that are within the literacy. Within the scope of the literacy program, but what Jenny has done is work around the school to have writing school-wide. So the students are writing in every subject area to kind of catch up on that practice or that, that routine writing throughout the day to get to those minutes.
And then
Get to
the
that
next
practice.
chapter it discusses that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
good for you. Yeah, the purpose of what that chapter was talking about was it wasn't just a writing class or an
No,
English class,
no.
right? Like in social studies, you
That's
should be
correct.
reading what they call content-rich articles and then writing about that,
Right.
getting discussion in about that.
And how
Or
we
how,
kind of change
any-
some of the things that we've done, onto using a lot of presentations and skits and.
Yeah.
PowerPoints or like writing about things and reading them and diving into that process.
Number one, practice that will increase writing skills is note-taking.
Yeah.
And so, that's the number one.
I love
That's the number one activity that you want to do if you're increasing writing across your school, is have note-taking required in every class. But other things can be written about too, presentation, that if you get in a presentation and they're up in there, they're lecturing for 20 minutes, okay, we're gonna take a break 5 minutes. I want you to write down the main points, and I want you to explain it, expand on those, and we'll go back. So those are the quick writes that happen in 5 to 8 minutes, and then back to the lecture we go. That also is a break because the brain can only hang on so long. To lecture, you're only gonna absorb so much information after 12 minutes. And then 15 minutes, 20 minutes is the longest to sit and get. And so if you have these quick writes in between, that breaks up the brain, or it refreshes especially the administrative built for another duration of time. But there's all kinds of different writing activities you can do to get to that amount of time for practice in a day. And writing improves reading. Because you're constantly reading what you're writing. So that gets into reading time too, and practice on reading. So there's a lot of angles, a lot of strategies to get at, best practices to get out of that. That time for reading that literacy. And it is a fact that the more proficient you are in literacy, the higher your proficiency is in other subject areas. Math, science, because there's reading in all of them.
This is kind of the same idea, and Adam was here, the notebook thing, right? The schools that had a certain notebooks, and you had, I don't remember what it was called, it was a program, Ask the Spire, is that what it was called?
That was Avid.
Avid, yeah, okay. But that must have been a similar fundamental idea, it had this idea of a notebook throughout each fourth grade.
So Avid is a program that incorporates all of the best practices there are in education. And so, and literacy is the foundation. When you look into Avid, literacy is the foundation of the Avid program, of those strategies and getting at higher levels of achievement across the curriculum. And so, but yeah, the note taking in the Avid notebook
Right.
is that, that strategy on writing every day, every 40 minutes, every night, whatever it is, the class period, writing.
Interesting.
I also like the part where it was talking about handling the paper load, but I mean, writing is great. A lot of your teachers to like, and that's just another thing, and how they talked about just walking around the room and checking off the writing for like just that you met the note. You were getting the point as opposed to having to turn in something all the time and having the teachers workload more every time. So I just thought that was an interesting way to at least make sure that they're accountable, but also not having that additional for our teachers that are really hard. Writing is one of those things. Great.
Yeah, your English teachers are,
They are.
I mean, they're constantly evaluating, right? I mean, there's not enough time in the day to get all of that in. It takes them days to catch up for a day's worth of writing from their students, maybe even a week, catch up for a day's worth of writing from their students. There are some programs out there that have built-in communication piece where the student is writing. And if the student wants the teacher to see what they're writing, they send it off to the teacher, and this is all in the program. Teacher then pulls the paper up, gives some input, sends it back, and the student gets back to writing. I've seen this in action. And in Monroe, when I was there, and the entire ELA team was using that. And the instant response, the feedback to the kids right away. I mean, I have never seen kids at the middle level write as good as they did, because they were getting so much feedback. And they could go right back in, write, rewrite, and that practice put them at, I mean, they were at one of the highest levels in the state. In the 8th grade. Top 10%. That wasn't the only reason, but I mean,
Yeah.
that had a lot to do with it, because instant feedback from the professional and the expert is what keeps them on the right path when they're thinking. Because that time lapse between feedback or, product and feedback that normally happens is a little too long. If you get it right now,
Yeah.
Anybody.
Any other thoughts or? No other thoughts?
Are you done? There's nothing left in there? That was a big.
Are you guys enjoying the book? Still, you're about halfway through. I'm enjoying it as well. I know, Mike, you're already done with the book, right?
Don't know if you can hear me. Yeah. Mike, did you have any other questions about the book? The chapter?
No, I don't have any questions. I think it's a great book. I'm on my second time reading it through and a lot of really good, I think, information in there.
Okay. Okay, all right. Anything else we need to cover for the good of the order? Okay, our next regular meeting is March 8th, 6 p.m. Is the time working okay? Yeah. Okay, you just had a thought, a memory. Is 6 p.m. working okay for you, Tim? I know it's a quick trip for you from work to here, so I just want to check in.
Well, a police officer didn't. No, I knew I was gonna be late and I did not violate the law. That was for anyone to catch up to. But, what I'm trying to say is, I was busy today and I didn't get out of there until 5:30. I didn't get out of the parking lot until, and so I was 6 minutes, 7 minutes late.
That was totally fine, I just want to make sure that's working for you.
Okay.
But,
If it's helpful, we can always start at like something like 6:15, right? Like we're trying out a time, so I don't want to make
it
you.
just,
Okay.
it just means once a month I need to say, okay.
Wrap up. Okay. Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that that's working, because I think we all appreciate it. Okay, all right, I think we. Yes.
And I just, the food for thought on a future agenda item.
Okay,
I've noticed some school boards in the state have added students to their boards as not as obviously decision makers, because they can't vote because they're not elected, but as they can add to the conversation. They're allowed to participate in the discussion. I don't know if our students would want to do it, but I find it an interesting idea. I find it interesting to find a way to get the kids' voices involved. Just something for us to maybe think about. I don't even know to gauge if the kids are interested or not, but I noticed some school boards have started doing that, and I kind of think the idea is cool, and maybe it's an opportunity for some kids who maybe this is something they're interested, not us particularly, but the idea of civil.
Yeah, civic service.
Yeah,
so like we would take the student representative and not just have a one-way, but have them join us if they want and have them prepare ahead for the meeting, because that's a part of being able to give input.
exactly.
Okay.
And so then when we have discussions, right, they're able to contribute to the discussion. Just something to think.
Okay, all right. Do you want to ask Jenny if she wants to have a conversation with her student leadership and at least start at the high school to see if there are any kids that are interested in that?
If the board is decided or that you want the kids on board, then that's what we can do. Not, we send it that way. But there are other, I mean, when you're, not to say that that's not right, but there are two sides to that.
What are your concerns?
Well, when you have a student that has a voice for students, there's a lot of pressure that comes from kids on kids. So protecting that student or, being mindful that that kind of thing can go on, it's not going to be brought to our attention.
That's fair. That's
But
exactly
that
it.
kind of thing can go on.
So maybe we could just have it as an agenda item to talk about. I'll maybe try to do more research. I mean, you could bring some ideas or even Jenny's opinions. And then we can go.
Well, when I was in high school, I was the student body representative to the school board.
Oh, so you're continue.
So I see some benefit to it.
All right, we will keep discussing and find a time to put it on the agenda. Does that work?
Sure. I just want to say one time before we dismiss this, I really appreciate and I am very pleased that you have accepted this proposal for the bond to put it to the community. I think that's the the most responsible thing to do is to let them decide on how we can, or provide us the means to meet the needs that they put in front of us. Otherwise, we can't meet the needs that they told us we have. So much appreciation. I'm very excited about it. I'm ready to roll, and a good night. Good night for Creswell. I think.
I agree.
Very courageous board.
Yeah, stressed out